Again, thanks for waiting. I'm excited. This is gonna be the basics of driving in Jordan. I'm really glad that we had the chance to have some crossover and some overlap before I left the country. And before we dive into like the culture and what to experience at work, I think the most important thing is showing you how to drive safely in this country. Because here's the thing, in this assignment, you're gonna drive a lot. And the driving, although at first glance looks the same, when you peel that onion back, the driving here is very different than what you've experienced in the US or really in any other country abroad. So I think the best way to handle this would be you sit here, I'll drive, and while I'm driving, I'll point out all the things you might not be aware of. Things that look like they're understood, but might be a little different than what you're used to. I'll drive in downtown Amman, and then I'll drive you to work and point out all the little nuance and things you should definitely be tracking to be safe here. Now, the first thing I'll point out is look to your right. Do you see that? I see a flock of sheep and 2 young children herding the flock. One of the first rules I'll tell you is that the sheep always have right of way. It's very common while you're here to see cats and dogs and even camels, but these sheep are typically herded throughout the city and on the highway. And when they're crossing, understand it's your job to see them and stop and know that they always have right of way. You don't want to be the American who unknowingly hits a sheep or hits a flock of sheep, right? So anyway, with that being said, you can take a look to your right and see the sheep as we drive by here, and then we'll get this tour on the road. I'm really glad we had the chance to do this because this will be very important throughout the next 2 or 3 years of your assignment. The first thing I want to show you is driving around the US Embassy. And 2 things of note that I think are very different from what you've probably seen before are traffic lights and traffic circles. Both look the same, but are very different culturally. The first light we're going to run into is right up here around the corner. I'll stop and point out a few things you might not be aware of. I'm just waiting here for a second. You could wait here forever and no one will ever let you in. Also, it's common for cars to stop anywhere, so you'll notice cars will just go around me. Look to your right. Cars find a space, they're just gonna move around me, right? It's very common to see cars in Jordan really parked anywhere they fit. So if I'm stopped here, they're going to assume that I'm just on my phone, really doing nothing of importance. But if they can go around, they will. So pulling up to this red light, take a look at where the cars are parked and try to predict where the car is gonna go based on the lane that's in. I'm in the far left lane here. I'd expect all of these cars to turn left, all of the cars on the right to go straight. And what you might find is that that doesn't happen, okay? These cars might go straight. The cars in the lane to your right might turn left, or anything in between. So let's wait and see what happens. Yeah, you see here, most of the cars in the left lane are going straight. This car is doing a U-turn. That wasn't too bad, mostly because it's not busy. You'll notice I also went straight. Being straight is like the safest position to be in the lane because you don't have to worry about cars coming from my left. I can only be required to clear from the right when I'm in the far left lane. So in my opinion, it's the safest place to be when at a traffic light, especially if you want to go straight. So in a second, we'll have our first traffic circle, and then I'll show you the US Embassy from a distance. One thing you must know about the traffic circle is that you never have right of way of any kind, ever. If you fit, you go. So very commonly, you have to use your car kind of as a weapon, because if you wait, you'll never be let in. So when you're approaching the traffic circle, you would think that the cars established in the circle have right of way. It's really not the case. If you can fit, you're expected to go. The car behind you is going to expect that. I drive like an American, so I tend to stop. But if I don't put my car forward here, they'll never let me in. And I'll drive a few laps around the circle. You can see how cars entering the circle will not give you right of way since you're already in the circle. Let's take a look. Let's do a few laps here. You see there the car was forced to stop because the truck put its body in front of it. Those, my friend, are the rules of the road here. This is where thinking about driving like walking in New York City really comes in handy. Because if it would make sense walking, it probably makes sense driving while in Jordan. You see this turning into quite a bit of chaos, right? I'm gonna hop out of the circle now just to show you the embassy. If you look to your left, that giant American flag, that is the US Embassy compound. It's right in the heart of Abdul. So the great part is that if you work here, you're nearby everything you'd ever want access to include downtown Amman. This is fun. This man up here is selling Temar Hindi. On his back, he's wearing a container that holds all of the juice, all of the Temar Hindi juice, and he'll tip forward and pour it into this cup. It's like half a dinar, and you drink it right there off the side of the road. It's very common across the Middle East to see this, and it's served especially during the summer when it's hot. Temar Hindi. Well, let's play the game one more time. We're at a traffic light, the light is red. Look at the cars in front of us and try to anticipate where they're gonna go. Because this street's a little different, this lane really can't go straight very easily. I expect most of these cars are probably gonna turn left, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of the cars to our right go left as well. There you have it. The Nissan Patrol was in the right lane and went left. And the scooter came out of nowhere, cut in front of everyone, and also went left. So you always have to be on the lookout while driving here because if you're not paying attention, crazy things can happen. So here we are at yet another red light, another traffic light. Again, take a look at where you think the car's gonna go, and then note where they actually go. This will be the last red light we stop at and look at. So hopefully we're learning what to expect while waiting at traffic lights. Do you see that? The car in front of me went straight, and the car to the right of me went left. Classic. You'll see that all the time, and now you know to expect it. Alright, I think that concludes the embassy portion of this driving tour. Now it's time to head to Azraq. What I'm going to do is drive you down there and point out the signs along the way. It's a long drive. It's about an hour and a half one way, unfortunately. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the view of the Jordanian countryside. Now, let's talk getting to work. We've explored downtown Amman. Now it's time to actually get to work, right? The reason you're here. Now, no matter where you're gonna live in the city, the first step to get to work really is to get on Airport Road. It's the one road that goes from the city directly to the airport. You can see the sign right here, to the airport. So I'm just going the quickest way I can to get on Airport Road to drive south. So, be honest with me. What do you think of the driving experience so far? If you're like me, you're probably thinking, Astro, driving here is like nothing I've ever seen in the US. And you'd be correct. We're lucky right now because at the time of morning there's really not a lot of traffic on the road, so it seems pretty clear and decongested. When we come back from work, it'll be quite the opposite though, I promise you. My technique for driving on a highway though is to stay in the far left lane. Not because it's the fastest lane, but because there's just one less thing to look out for. When I'm in the left lane, I don't need to worry about a car. I don't need to typically worry about a car coming from the left. So when I'm here, I can look forward and to my right, occasionally behind me. It makes driving on the highway way more comfortable. Look in front of us, to the right. You'll see the Sahab Zarqa exit. So the road we're on now takes us south on Airport Road. We're going to take the exit so that we go east. Like east-southeast a little bit. That'll take us to Sahab, Zarqa, and Muwakkar. Muwakkar is what we'll be looking for. Look in front of us here. I've got the mosques to my left, and I see Sahab Zarqa in English and in Arabic. The exits aren't numbered, but that's what you're looking for. And then we'll take this exit. Another way to remember this is it's the first big exit on your right past the IKEA. Notice I'm saying to the right side of the exit. Look to my left. See that? It's very common for a truck to pass you on the off-ramp. So you're probably used to the off-ramp being one lane. No. In Jordan, we drive like we walk. So if he could fit, he could go past me, he will. And that's why a lot of the cars will stay to the right when you're taking the exit so that someone can pass you safely on the left. Something you need to be aware of. So this is the exit we're looking for. Exit number 13. If you go straight, we go to Zarqa. If you take this exit, we go to Muwakkar, Sahab. And that's the route I like to take to get to work. It's the southern route to Astro. You can go the long way and go all the way around to the north. It adds about 20 minutes to your drive. When you make this drive every day, honestly, I do not recommend it. You've got me signaling because you're in the car. Let's go straight to Sahab, and we're going to go to Muwakkar. Exit 13. Now, when people talk about this road, you'll probably see Route 40 on the map. No one refers to this road as Route 40. It's just Muwakkar route. So when you talk to people, you can say, yeah, I get to work by taking Muwakkar. And that names this, that discusses the city that you're driving through. I'll try to drive slow through so you can get a look at the neighborhood. You can see it's very different from what you're used to. While driving to work, there's really not that much out here. But one thing to be aware of is the training city here to my left. It's a large military training compound. The speed limit here drops really quickly. You see now it's 80 right up ahead. So I always, as a technique, go 75 before I reach around the corner because there's typically a police checkpoint right up here. And they'll ask you for your license and the license of the car. In Jordan, they'll tell you where are the licenses in Arabic. And they mean your driver's license and the license for the car. But I've learned out a technique that if I go 70 or 75, I really lower my chances of getting pulled over by this police checkpoint. It's my technique. You can take it or leave it. You can see them right here to your right as we drive by. Cool things about driving to work every day is all of the history located along the road. Look up ahead here. Not the power plant, but just off the nose of the car. This is an old castle dating from the year 700 AD. That's right, it's been in this position for over 1,300 years. It used to be a resting spot for the Bedouin caravans that would travel through. And you don't have the time to stop there today, but one day you're driving, stop by. Entrance is only a few dinar, You've got little trinkets you can buy for your family. It's a really cool piece of history to see firsthand. A lot of the tour buses you see on this road are going to that castle and one more small castle right up ahead. Well, you've probably noticed that the road's a little smoother now, and that means you've entered the city of Azraq. In fact, the entrance is just up ahead. We're going to be arriving to the base shortly, but I'll tell you that past the base is a great place to try falafel or find a local grocery store if you're ever looking for one when you're down here. Honestly, in my opinion, everything you'll ever need is at the base, and if it's not there, it's at your home in the capital city. But just take a moment to look around and enjoy the view. Just open, endless desert. If you keep going on this road, it'll actually take you to Iraq. In fact, you're closer to Iraq right now than you are closer to Amman, where you live. An interesting little feature of the drive to work every day. Look, I'm so sorry that we didn't coordinate your clearances to get you on the base. It's probably for the best. Hopefully, sitting in this hot car wasn't too miserable. We're gonna drive back to Amman now, and there's one thing I want to show you before we conclude our little journey. Hopefully you like it. So, it's been a long day. I showed you driving around the embassy and the drive all the way to Azraq and back. There's one last thing I want to show you, and that's arriving back at the apartment. There's one thing that's really unique about this country, and that's that every building has a bawab, or door attendant. It's very common when you arrive for the bawab to be waiting around the building. He'll ask you if you need any help carrying your groceries from the car, and occasionally if you want your car cleaned. And honestly, this is their job. They're happy to do it. So when we arrive, hopefully we'll see the bawab. His name's Isa, and I can introduce him to you. There he is right there. Let's pull in here. مرحبا يا عيسي.
كيف حالك؟
الحمد لله كيفك؟
الحمد لله أنا هغسل لك السيارة.
ممتاز. شكرا كتير شكرا. So that concludes our tour of Jordan. Hopefully you've learned a bit about driving here. Let's get inside.